What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio1Tutorials.com, and today we're going to be going over how to produce a TLOP beat. What's up, everybody? It's Concrete Zebra with Craftmaster Productions and Studio1Tutorials.com. Today we're going to be doing something that sounds like it would come off the Life of Pablo album by Kanye West. Which Pablo, though? This is what it sounds like. All right, now first things first, I got quite a few requests for the Kanye album, like early, like as soon as it seemed like as soon as that shit dropped, people was asking me to do it, and I went and I listened to it, and at first first couple listens I did not like it, because Kanye's one of them dudes that when he makes the album, it's so different from the last one. It kind of throws you off. In a kind of like a hip hop era, the past like 10, 15 years almost, everybody seems to be trying to redo their latest album. So long story short, I wasn't fucking with it. I didn't like the I just heard the samples and I'm like, oh, he's going back to fucking soul vocals and trying to make all the people who were like, oh, Kanye back, placate to them, and I wasn't feeling it. Then somebody told me about Fuck My Life Up, which I'm gonna do that tutorial, but it's not gonna be on YouTube. That's gonna be an exclusive. But anyway, I started to once I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, all right, there's some cool production on this. Let me go back. So I went back, showed it to my girl because she's a Kanye fan. When you listen to music around somebody, the vibe changes. So I'm listening to this shit and I'm like, all right, this shit is going. This one is based off of, God, I don't know what the name of it is. And it's like the third or the fourth song on there. Like Father Lift My Hands or some shit, part 2. And the thing that I noticed about the album, and the thing that made me wanted to listen to the album and give it a chance, was when he had an explanation of it. He was like, it's a gospel album with a lot of cussing. So I was like, all right, boom, I see what you did there. So in the song that I'm referencing, the really cool part of that song and just the album in general, it's not so much the beats. Like when you actually break down the beats got, not that many sounds in it, sample, banging drums, typical shit. But it's the structure of the songs and how random the samples come in. And really it has a lot to do with the arrangement. So if you want to get this type of vibe, the first thing you have to do is you have to start with gospel. Just go to YouTube, Rhapsody or whatever, or if you're familiar with gospel music, just go and find a good gospel song that has a good vocal break, that has a choir in it, and find a section that where you hear something that you like and just chop it. I found this little piece right. Churn.
I don't live at the farmhouse. I don't live at the farmhouse. I don't live.
And I don't really know what she's saying. I don't really care what she's saying. I didn't want to, like, when I sample, especially when I'm doing a tutorial, like I'm the worst sampler in that I don't take it as seriously as a lot of people do. Like, I find something, because I like to move on. So I find something, it catches my interest. I don't sit there a whole, half a day tweaking it and filtering it. I like the way this sounded. I time stretched it. I looped it. And then the next thing that I went and did was, because I knew that I wanted to start and like their song, I'm pretty much following their format. You start with the little intro of the gospel deal. You get like a little cymbal crash or a ride to go along with it.
I don't live at the townhouse. I don't live at the townhouse.
That way you just get a little bit of rhythm. And then you got the 4 on the floor clap. This is just a basic hand clap out of a fucking Superstar O kit. And I think this is the first clap that comes up in this kit. It sounded fine.
I don't live at the townhouse. I don't live at the townhouse.
All right, no brain busters there. Pretty easy, right? Then the next thing that was cool about this track was just how it's really simple. It's just not basic. The thing here was this little piano chord progression. Now, if you think, like when Kanye moves in like the type of trap universe, he'll use elements from trap, but put his twist on it. So this is like this is what you call a 1-5 progression, because when you go ahead and you invert these up, what you have is you have the 1 chord in the scale. I'm using the F natural minor, and if you're having trouble following this at all, just go back and look at my chord tutorials on my page, and then come back and watch this one, and this will make a lot more sense. And then this is my 5 chord, and then all I did was I inverted the 3rd and the 5th. That way it has the feeling of going down. A normal trap progression would be something like a 1-4. So it'd be something like this. This would be your normal trap progression, right? Like this is what you're used to hearing. And the reason why you hear, let me put it on a different instrument so it sounds more normal. The reason why you hear that certain progression a lot in trap is because from your 1 to your 4 chord, it's like this. It's like a loop. Like the 4, it almost resolves the phrase, but it doesn't really. But 1 to 4 just goes together so well that you can loop that over and over again. So if you're thinking about like the average trap producer who may not, be a very experienced musician, and they stumble across this chord progression and it's easy, they're gonna keep going to that. Now if you're Kanye, you're an experienced musician, and you're like, all right, let me go and let me try to make this a little bit more soulful, a little less aggressive, and then you go to the 1-5. 1-5, it still has that same looping revolving door feeling, but it's got more of like a R&B type feel. You know, it's just it just gives you more of an emotion, especially when you invert the third and the fifth and you go down. So that was kind of the thinking behind that chord progression, and this is what you have so far.
I don't live at the penthouse. I don't live at the penthouse. I don't live at the penthouse. I don't live at the penthouse.
So at that point, you're building energy. You want to start bringing a bass element, but you don't want to just smack with the 808 yet, because remember, we're going for a unique outside of the box song format. So we'll come in with a really deep string. I mean, super deep, right? That's a super deep string section. And all I'm doing is I'm playing the root note from the chords 1 and then 5. But instead of going up, you remember, you just invert it and just walk it down. That way you follow the harmony of your chords. And then all I did was copy and paste the same thing underneath here, raise the octave up, and I just picked the brass patch from Nexus. I mean, literally, epic horns. That must be epic, right? So this is what you wind up having now.
I don't live at the penthouse. I don't live at the penthouse. I don't live at the penthouse. I don't live at
This is just a this is a little riser type effect that I got from some pack. I've seen a lot of, you know, like every few videos I see a lot of you guys asking me about do a tutorial on risers and transitions, and really what I do as far as risers and transitions, I do not create them. There's so many people out there that are so awesome at creating risers and transitions that I just buy them. You know, if I see a good transition or effects pack, I buy it because it saves time. I'm not interested at all in sitting in Massive and fucking programming white noise and putting gates on it and shit like that. To me, that's no fun. So yeah, that's my secret technique for creating risers. I just buy them. The one thing that you do want to do when you get these though is pay attention to the key, and if you have to transpose them, like for example, I'm in F sharp in this song, and this one is labeled as C. So I'll right click on it, or right click on this, and then take the transpose, click and hold it, go up 6 steps, because that'll be F sharp, and then boom. Cause this shit sounds weird if you don't. Here's it without doing that. And then when you put it in key, and now on to the fun part. Once you get your little build up going, you know, like right here, when you do this 4 on the 4 clap, you know, for a hip hop song, you don't really want to keep that going for, you know, longer than 12 bars. Otherwise it's going to get obnoxious. That's why we dropped it out here and put this transition effect in, because you want to create, you know, before you come slamming in with the 808 and the trap drums and the cymbals and shit, you want to create an opening in the track, a quiet point for your rapper to be able to get emotional and kind of build up into the intense part. Now, if you're like me, the first thing you noticed was that 808. That 808 is crazy, and I'm gonna get to that. This is something cool to know on the as far as the settings on the samples. These are different hits, or it's the same hit actually. But you hear them, how they're going up and down, up and down. The way that I do that is, again, by changing the transpose, to go up 6 steps, up 1 step from the original tune of it. Because if I was to put this into, say, sample 1 or impact or something, and I played it, 6 steps higher than from what it's originally sampled at, it's going to play faster. As you increase the pitch, the speed of this sample is going to increase, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be the length that it is. So in order to, a quick little workaround is to figure out, what intervals you need to achieve the melody that you're going for with this, and then just left click it and go ahead and program that in. And then that way you get to use the Studio One's pitch shifting algorithm, which is pretty awesome, rather than the sample 1 pitch shifting, which is it's cool, but it's not so good. The drums, nothing crazy, just a crash every 4 bars. Here's my snare pattern. It's just I got this little bounce snare here. Whenever you wanna create a bounce in the track, a good tip to remember is to just add an early snare somewhere. If you add an early snare somewhere, you're gonna create a nice rhythm. So this is what we got for the drums. Here, your kick track. Again, nothing crazy. If you guys want to screenshot this and try to break it down further, that's cool. Now, the fun part was this 808. This 808, the way that you hear it bending, sample 1 can't really bend a sample like that. I tried using the same sample of the 808 that I've been using lately in Contact, and Contact wasn't pulling it off. So to get this type of sound, you're gonna want to mess with a synth. My go-to synth for 808s is Razor, just because this preset punching the balls is easy to tweak. For this sound, if you listen to it, it's not the typical 808 where it's just one long bass note running into the next long bass note. There's actually some breathing room in this. Which I'm actually seeing more and more in tracks, and this is a good thing to experiment with when you're when you're writing your 808 parts. And the way that I achieve this is normally I have my my release turned all the way up. I just turned the release all the way down and drew in the bass notes like for the duration that I wanted them to play. And it's something good to mess around with, to kind of maybe not have an 808 on every kick, because it's going to give space to the track, which is going to allow the artist to insert themselves into the track, which is going to make the track more enticing to said artist, and it's going to wind up reaping emotional benefits when they go to write their lyrics. Something as simple as bass could do that. Something as simple as not having bass can do that. So just something you want to think about when you're programming your bass lines. The slides in this is done, with the glide control inside Razor. You want to for these slides you want to have a longer time, and you want to make sure that you can that you can go up and down at least an octave. When you say you're doing it in Silent or Massive or something, you want to set your pitch, or even Nexus, you can do this in. You want to set your pitch bend range to up 12 and down 12. That way it can go all the way up and down. Now, the reason why that's doing that is because this synth is sent to mono. That means it's only going to play one note at a time. So if you have a note starting and then you put another note either below it or above it, the synth is going to automatically slide down to this note, slide down to this note, and then slide back up to this note. Then when this note stops, it's going to slide back down to keep on playing the note it began with. And if you're looking for that, if you're looking for that Toronto type of 808 glide, if you're not using FL Studio and you're trying to get it, and if you have complete Razor, I'm telling you, Razor is a great option. I don't see a lot of people using it, and it's awesome. You don't have to use what everybody else uses to get the same results. So that's pretty much the drums. I just want to feel liberated now. And again, this is a technique that's used in a lot of EDM. You'll have what's called a downlifter, which is a transition effect where the energy goes down. And then you'll move into a riser. Followed by a cymbal crash. And that, that really gives you this nice push-pull energy for, for like a little intermission and whatnot. That right there will just break up the monotony of the track and just kind of give you like this little left field thing. If you're working on this, with an artist and they could sing, or if they knew a singer, this would be the part where you would insert a singer. You'd have your rapper here. You know, you start out here, and then the thing that really makes it go left is when you take. You see how this is. You know, this is your regular. We're in double time. It says 8 bars, but this is really 4 bars, and then your ear is expecting what it heard here, because that's how most normal songs operate. You know, it's just the same repetitive chorus verse chorus format. And remember, if you're going for, you know, the Life of Pablo vibe, you don't do that. You know, you go away from it. So in the track that we were modeling after, you know, this is the I got bro that shit. And then what they did was they didn't even let half of the second repeat of that little chorus happen. They just cut it off real quick, and then went back into another sample. And this is the kind of this is the kind of vibe you get out of it.
Jesus.
So you see how when you get that, you kind of get jerked into this you know, into this other space. I like to think about it like rooms in a house. You know what I mean? If you know, if you grew up with or if you're currently living with a family that has a few different, you know, a few different kids, you got cousins staying at the house or grandma or some shit, like each different room has a different personality, but it's all the same family. That's kind of how you would treat a track like this. And you just keep wanting to jerk people in between the different rooms. So we'll play it one more time, the full thing, so you can kind of get a feel for it.
I don't live at the townhouse. I don't live at the townhouse. I don't live at the townhouse. I don't live at the Jesus.
And actually, in the original song, like they went further. This sample right here was of a completely different song than this first sample that they used. This is just a different part of the sample that I picked. And then they had like some little vocal bridge with, you know, the crazy vocoder effect, and then they ended it with like 2 bars of the original sample. So all of that is to say, the y'all know how to make trap beats, and that's easy. What you got to work on if you want to create a sound like this is you need to find samples, find gospel samples, find strange vocal samples to add into it. Maybe even if you have some talent around you, singers or stuff or something, have them sing weird stuff, heavy auto tune, stuff with experiment with vocoders and stuff like that, and just stay away from verse, chorus, verse, bridge. Just completely stay away from that. Don't worry about a rapper spitting 16 bars and where the hook is going to go, and because a lot of times producers, we have this idea of where the rapper is going to rap, and if you ever sold a beat to somebody, they always rap in the wrong spot anyway. So when you do things like this, it doesn't matter where they start, because you're in such a creative space that they can do whatever, and you can make it work. But yeah, I'm sure once this sound grows on a lot more people, there's going to be people asking for music like this. So I hope this helps you guys in your pursuit of creating beats similar to the Life of Pablo. Just remember, samples, 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 break it up, no verse, chorus, verse. This is Concrete Zebra with Studio1Tutorials.com and Craftmaster Productions. Keep it simple, don't be basic, and you can do this shit. I'll see you on the next one.